Okay. We're holding on the bottom of 16b. We will get through 17. That's the plan. We're talking about Hanaka, the severance pay that we give to a slave. In certain situations, the slave gets severance pay. Certain situations, not. For example, if the slave runs away and escapes, we don't give him severance pay. And also, we don't give him severance pay if he pays his way free. And as a machlekes, that means that when someone works for a certain amount of years, severance. So you give him this sort of gift. So the Gemara asks a question on this. You said that if someone runs away, you don't give him severance pay. What is it? What exactly are you referring to? Because if he runs away in middle, he didn't finish his time, so he still has to come back. It goes like this. The bottom line. If he runs away, he has to make up the years that he missed. The Tanya started in a brisa. How do you know that someone that runs away from slavery, talking about a Jewish slave, he runs away, that he has to come back and complete the years that he just escaped from? He was given money to work these years, right? He's maybe an indentured slave. So how do you know that he has to go back and finish the time? It's not like he ran away, and it's like, okay, he escaped from jail, now they can't get him. No, he's escaped from the mass. He has to go back and work. Okay, Talmud, how do you know that he has to go back? Talmud, 6 years he's supposed to work. Okay, the Brisa continues. It says, let's say he got ill in middle. Does he have to make up the time? Does he have sick days? The answer is yes, he has 6 days. He goes out automatically in the 7th year. So, but the question now is that what are we talking about when you say that if a slave runs away, you don't have to give him severance pay? He has to come back, finish the job, and then you should give him severance pay when he finishes the job, which is a certain amount of time.
What's the idea behind severance pay?
It's a discussion what the idea is, but
like why do we have?
It may go under. It may go on. It's a mitzvah in the Torah, and it's a for the slave. Okay. It's a mitzvah in the Torah, and some commentators say it's for every worker, also, and it probably goes under the category of tzedakah.
Because I mean, like I know in the workplace they're unemployed, so I mean, it's something.
Well, today they have an unemployment.
They have that also. I mean,
they didn't have it in those days. You couldn't let them go. They living paycheck to paycheck, and then they're going to leave.
They didn't have unemployment until FDR, though.
Right. Okay.
It's not like it was in our country. It's not like in the basis of our country. Right. You know, it was based on the Bible, one of the Bibles.
Right. Exactly. Good point. Rav Shesha says we have to answer the question. What do you mean if he runs away, you don't give him severance pay? How do you know? Maybe when he comes back, you should give him severance pay because he finished the job. It's because he ran away in middle. So what? He came back, finished the job. You should give him the severance pay. Rav Shesha, Rav Shesha says, you know what we're talking about? He ran away, and it became the Jubilee year while he was away. So, I could have thought, because the Yovel comes, and what's the rule when Yovel comes? You have to give him severance pay. So I could have thought, it's considered like he sent him out. Really, he would come back and finish. But now he was sent out. Can't come back and finish. We should give him the severance pay. Like to say, you shouldn't give him a fine. Canonically, you should give him that severance. Kamash Malan, severance pay. Kamash Malan, that you don't give him. Okay. Now we go back to discuss something that was mentioned in passing. Amar Mar. Thought in the Brisa.
So severance pay is given after the 6 years and after the Yovel, but not when it's interrupted.
Not if he ran away. If he ran away and he came back, right? If he ran away and paid back, then yes. But there's a machlekes about paid if that's considered. He sent him out. Okay. In passing, we said that if he got ill, he does not need to go back and finish up the time. We don't consider he has valid sick days that he's allowed to, the slave is allowed to take the sick days. And so when 6 years are up, he goes free. So we say like this, Amar Mar, the master taught, that means the Bryce mentioned, maybe even if he's sick, he has to come back and finish it up. It says that in 7th year he goes free. It means he doesn't have to come back and finish and fill in those for those 6 days. Gemara says, sounds like I feel chalakal sheish. Let's say he got sick for 6 years. How convenient. The 6 years that he's a slave, he gets sick. Maybe if he's sick for 6 years, and then all of a sudden he comes back and he's good. This is like it's like my student. Where were you for class? I had a stomachache. So how come now you're eating pizza? He says I went away. Okay, so so maybe be sick for 6 years. But we have a brisa that says the brisa says that if he's sick for 3 years and he works for 3 years, so he doesn't have to make it up. Sounds like it could be medayik. Chala kol sheish. It was only for 3 years that he's sick. But if he's sick for all 6 years, chayav lahashlim, then he does have to make it up. It sounded from before that even if he's sick all 6 years, he doesn't need to make it up. Here we're saying only if he's sick for 3 years, 50%. He doesn't have to. When we said that if he's sick for 6 years, he doesn't have to make it up, that's talking about because even though he was still sick, but he was able to crochet or knit or tailor, he was able to do some sort of light labor. He wasn't able to, to dig in the ground and all of that, but he's able to knit sweaters. So because he was able to do that little bit of work, so he's considered that he was working. That's already considered working. Yeah. Okay. Hagu for kasha. The Gemara says 1 second. If you look at this itself, you analyze, you're going to see it's self-contradictory. Not it itself, but the diukim, what's derived from it is contradictory. Hagu for kasha. Amrit chalash shalish vavid shalish. You said in the brisa that if you work for 3 years and you're sick for 3 years, so then you don't have to come back and make up the 3 years that the person was sick for. But if he was sick for 4 years, does have to come back. Why do you choose an example of 3 years? Probably because you were talking about 50%.
What if it's like 50? So if it's 3 years and 1 day?
So that's what the Gemara says. What if it's not 3 years? What if it's 4 years? Sick for 4 years. It sounds like he has to come back afterwards and make up all of that time. I don't know if he has to make up a year or if he has to make up 4 years. I'm not sure.
That's really generous.
Okay. Let's go further. Chalakal sheish. What if Chalakal sheish? He's sick for all 6 years. Chayav lahashlim. He has to make it up. That's what it says clearly. Hadalid. But if he was only sick for 4 years, ain't chayav lahashlim. He doesn't have to make it up. So when we said he's sick for 3 years, that tells me that 4 years he has to make it up. When he said if he's sick for 6 years, that tells me that 4 years he doesn't have to make it up. So it's self-contradictory. What happens at 4 years? Does he have to make it up, or does he not have to make it up? You have two a diuk like this, you have a diuk like that. Hachikamer means like this. Choladalid. If he's sick for 4 years, it's as if he was sick for all 6 years and he has to make it up. So 4 years is as if he was sick for 6 years. Okay. In other words, when it says 6 years, right? It says when he's sick for 3 years. When he's sick for 3 years, he doesn't have to make it up. That's telling me that anything more than 3 years is as if he's sick for all 6 years. It's as if.
He would have to redo the whole thing.
And he has to not redo the whole thing, but he has to fill in for the days that he was sick, which in this case is here. So
then till half is completed, or
Oh, it doesn't tell us that. It doesn't tell us that. You have to look at the Rishonim. It's a good question. Okay. Unbelievable. Taisus has a question over here. Some people wanted to say, Taisus says, here, some people want to say that those people that hire teachers, if they get sick for half the time, they don't have to fill in the time later. They have half the time sick days, just like in Ivry.
labor laws.
So there was a whole question by COVID. They have to finish, they have to pay them. Teachers, they hired teachers for the year, and then they canceled all the schools. They have to fill in, they have to pay. I think they still had to pay, right? Right, the schools. They hired teachers, and all the schools closed by COVID. They have to pay, or could they just say we're free? Okay, so someone showed me some cipher that the main payment that a teacher gets is from the first months of the year, not the last months, because the training that they have to do in the first month, how to get the students to sit and to listen and to take notes and all of that, that's the main job. After that, once they're trained already, then the rest is easy. So they started the school year, that's already like a big deal, and that was the hardest part. First week of school was the hardest. Okay, how much severance pay do you have to give to a Jewish slave? Chamish Slam, to give 5 coins. Mikol Minumin from each type. Now, it says in the Torah that you have to give the severance pay. You have to give from your sheep, from the grain, and from the wine. Sheep, grain, and wine. That's what you have to give for severance pay. Okay, now, there's 3 species: sheep, grain, and wine. You have to give how much? 5 coins from each. So 5 times 3, 15 coins. That's 15 coins. Rabbi Yehuda says you have to give 30 coins as severance pay. Just like if an ox kills a non-Jewish slave, you have to pay to the master. You have to pay 30 coins. So too, when the slave goes free, you have to give them 30 coins. Reb Shimon says, Chamishim, you have to give 50 coins. Just like the 50 coins, which is I think the highest amount that you give for someone that pledges.
It's getting out of slavery.
Getting out of slavery. Someone that pledges to pay someone else's value. So you look at his years, how old he is. So from all of those years, I think from 20 to 50, whatever, I think it's 50 coins. That's his value. So because that's his value, so now we learn that when a slave goes free, a Jewish slave goes free, you have to give those 50 coins. What's the connection? The value of giving of that, and this we'll see in the Gemara. Amar Mar. Master taught Chamish Laim Mikolman Umin, he has to give 5 coins from each species, which is a total of 15. Shein Chamish Esri Slam, which is 15 coins. Reb Meir. That's the words of Reb Meir. The Gemara asks, for Reb Meir Minyana Asal Ashminan, is Reb Meir coming to tell me that 3 times 5 is 15? That's what I need Reb Meir for. He's telling me that, why does he have to add that in? I know what 3 times 5 is. So, Hakamashman is coming to tell us, you can never decrease from the amount of 15. But if you don't give 5 coins of sheep, value of sheep, but you add extra from the grain or you add extra from the wine, that's not a problem as long as it totals 15. It's supposed to be 5 from each, but if you don't, that's fine as long as it totals 15. My time, the Rameir, what's the reason for Rameir? Where does he get the sum that you have to give 5 coins from each? You have to give sheep, grain, and wine. Where do you get the 5, the number 5 from? Yalef Rekam Rekam Bechar. He learns from Bechar, from a firstborn son. What does it say about a firstborn son? You have to give 5 coins. So the word Rekam, which is said by, don't go empty-handed, which is said that the slave shouldn't leave empty-handed, which it also says in the Parsha when you have to redeem the Bechar, It also says that you shouldn't come empty-handed to the temple. So it tells me Rekam, just like by the Bukhar, it's 5 coins. So too, by the Hanukkah, when you give the severance pay, Malan Chamishlam, just like over there, it's 5 coins. Afkan Chamishlam, also over here, it's going to be 5 coins from each, which totals 15. Let's say it's 5 coins in total. How do you know it's 5 coins from each? Make a bracha there. Okay, maybe it's 5 coins in total. If it would say don't go empty at the end, then it would say the kamret. But that's a total. Where do you put the total? On the bottom. I think in the olden days, very olden days, they used to put the total on the top. They would do adding, and somehow they would write it on the top. So, I don't know, I'm not sure. That's what someone told me. But where do you put the total? You put it on the bottom. So if it would say it on the bottom, so then you're right. That would be the total. But it says, because it says at the beginning, it says rekam. So therefore, shadi rekam atzayin. So we apply the rekam to the sheep. Rekam agayin. We apply it to the granary, to the grain. Rekam ayek. We apply it to the press, to the wine. Okay, so it's going to be 5 coins from each. 1 second. It says another word time rekam in the Torah. It says rekam. We're talking about a verbal analogy. It says here rekam. It says there rekam. But it says a third time rekam. It says it by when you go to the temple. You shouldn't. You have to come with the sacrifice. I think what it means. Maybe it's not a third time. Maybe it's the end of that verse that we're quoting by the Bukhar, the Rekam by the Bukhar, is really the Rekam by the Elasriya. We're saying it's applying to a Bukhar, 5 coins. Maybe it's talking about the sacrifice they have to bring when you go to the temple. It has a certain price, how much it has to be worth, the sacrifice. And it's only 2 coins. Why are you saying 5 coins? It should only be 2 coins. I'll take after. Amar Kra, the pasuk says, Hashem Alekecha. You're supposed to bring from the blessings that Hashem gives you, which means that you have to give more, not less. So we're going to take the higher amount, not the lesser amount. Rabbi Yehuda says, how much severance pay do you have to give Shleishim? You have to give 30 coins, Shleishim shall have, but just like the 30 coins that the master of the slave gets, the ox scores the slave and kills him. So then he has to pay 30 coins. So that's the 30 coins also that you have to give for severance pay when a slave goes free. My time with Rabbi Yehuda, what's the reason for Rabbi Yehuda? He has another Gezeira Shava, verbal analogy. It says you have to give, and over there it says you have to give. So the verbal analogy is to that instance we have to give 30 coins. The Gemara says, but if there's a verbal analogy of Nesina, maybe by Erchin it also says Nesina. And we know by Erchin, which when someone pledges the value of another person to give to the temple, we know what the amount is, 50. So why are we saying it's only 30? So Chada, first of all, if you have 2 things that you can take, a smaller one and a larger one. So you take the smaller one, not the larger one. Why? Because tafasta meruba, like tafasta. If you take too much, you might end up with nothing. Tafasta mud. If you take a little tafasta, they'll let it pass.
Special type.
Follow?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Another reason is Eved. Both of those are talking about slaves. Erechin doesn't involve slaves. So the 30 coins of the slave or the severance pay of the slave, that's more comparable than the severance pay to the slave to the pledge to the temple. Shimon says, 50 coins, like the 50 coins of the Erchin, of the pledge to the temple of someone's value. My time with the Reb Shimon, what's the reason for Reb Shimon? He actually learned exactly what we were asking in the last Gemara. Why doesn't he say that? Why doesn't Rabbi Yehuda say that? That exactly what we were asking is exactly what Reb Shimon does say. He says we learn it from the pledge to the temple. Over there, one of the pledges is 50 coins, so it's 50 coins. Over here, severance pay has to be 50 coins, a nice amount.
Is there a Sheva is when you have one verse and then following that there's another?
Gezeira Shava is when I have a word in this section of the Torah.
Okay.
And I have a word in another section of the Torah which is exactly the same. We'll say we don't know exactly what that word is
So they
talking
could be in
about over
completely
here.
different areas in the Torah. It doesn't have to be
Right.
one.
Since that word over here is extra, and we want to learn something from it, we have another word over there that's extra, and we want to learn. So what we'll do is we'll do a comparison between the two sections. Just like over there, it's talking about such and such a case. So to over here, it's
you're able to pull another detail from
to pull another detail because of that word. That's the same word somewhere else.
Does the word have to be extra, or it could
So-
have been another word?
So turns out that if the word is an extra, then if you have a question on it, because how could you say this? Maybe that's different because of this and that. So then it knocks it off. But if it's extra, then it's totally, you can't even knock it off with the question. Yeah. Okay. So the Vema, how do you know that it should be the 50 coins? Maybe you should take the smallest amount. I forget if it's 15 or 5 or whatever the smallest amount of the pledges are. Remember, it's the difference between men and women and a young child and all of that. So why are you saying the largest amount, the 50 coins? It could be less. So it says, he said you're supposed to take the highest amount. Why don't you learn from Evet, from the slave, that the slave, when an ox goes a slave and it dies, pay 30 coins. You should take less. And you know why you should do that? I have a pencil. Why should you take less? Because Chada, first of all, you're not supposed to take larger amounts. You should take lesser amounts, right? That's what we said. Another thing is, it would be better to learn from an Eved than to learn from a slave to another slave than to learn from donations to the temple to a slave. Umar says, Reb Shimon, Micha Gamar, he got the verbal analogy wrong. It wasn't Nesina from Erchen. He was learning from Kiyam Machachicha. So therefore, if it said Nesina, if we're learning that the word Nasan was extra, then it says the word Nasan by the giving the money to the slave that died, to the master of the slave that died. But we're not learning from the word Nesina. We have a different verbal analogy, which it does not say by the slave that died. So therefore, we have to learn from Erchen. Because it says, what does it say over there? The Chiyamach. It says, V'immachu, if he's poor. That word is coming to teach me the connection that it's going to be 50 coins. The Gemara says, it's good according to our Mehan, you know why it says those 3 items that have to be given as severance pay? It says sheep, grain, and wine. Because it's coming to tell me they have to give 5 coins from each, which totals 15. So it's significant to give me 3 categories. Rabbi Yehuda, but according to Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, and also according to Rabbi Shimon, that they say 30 coins, or they say 50 coins. Why does it have to say what species, what types of things you have to give? It's so irrelevant. You just have to give 30 coins or 50 coins. It says, hi, mi baile. It's necessary. Look at the tiny because it said in the Bryce, how do you know that you're allowed to give from everything? Maybe you can only give from sheep, grain, and wine. How do you know you're allowed to give from anything as the severance pay? It's coming to include anything that Hashem blessed you with. So why did it say sheep, grain, and wine if that's not significant? It doesn't have to be that. It could be, I don't know, it could be anything else. It could be fish. It's coming to tell you. It has to be things that are included in the blessing, which excludes cash. It says, what is something that's in a blessing? Something that that it grows into a large amount. So for example, sheep, they mate and they have they produce more, propagate, right? Propagate. So you have a lot more. Same as with anything that grows. Put a seed in the ground, you have a huge amount comes out. So we're supposed to give things that will have the blessing in it, that it could become, that could increase, and not cash, Not just silver. Silver doesn't grow. It's just, that is what it is.
If he makes a good investment.
One second. The Gemara is going to say. Reb Shimon, that's what Reb Shimon says. Reb Elazar ben Yaakov, Reb Elazar ben Yaakov says, no, you're not allowed to give mules, because mules don't have any offspring. Reb Shimon, what about Reb Shimon? Brothers, what about why does Reb Shimon not say that you can't give mules? According to Reb Shimon, you're allowed to give mules. It says brothers meshabchem begufaya, but 1 second. It says mules. I know they don't have offspring, but they grow quite big and strong. So they do grow. A mule is a mix of a donkey and a horse. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, what about Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov? What does he say? According to him, you're allowed to give money. Money doesn't have any increase. He says, no, it sure does. If you do a good investment, it makes a lot of money. So that's Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. Okay, and it's necessary to say each of these types. Why? Because Rahman it's saying, because if it only said sheep, which sheep is blessing and sheep, I would think that you're only supposed to give things that are animals, not things that grow from the ground. Because Rahman so it says grain grows from the ground, and that's acceptable. Because of Gairin, if it would say grain, I would have said only vegetation in Balei but not animals, not livestock. Because Rahman it's saying, so it says sheep. Yekev Lamali, what do I need the wine for? What does wine have that the other two don't have? Grows from the ground. What is it coming to tell me? The grain grows from the ground. It says Lamar Lamutik Saf. And the problem is that I could have thought that it says Asher Beirachcha. That means you should give extra, and which means you could give from anything that you're blessed with. So it would include other things. So it comes along Yekev to tell me, no, not money, according to the opinion that holds you can't give money. No, not mules, according to the opinion that holds you can't give mules. In other words, the Yekev is coming to tell me that I could have thought it gets included from the rest of the verse, that you can even give those items that were excluded. Kamash Malan Yekev, which Yekev means wine, or the press. So it's coming to tell me that you don't give those things. Tan Rabbanan. Thought in a brayso. Sheberach Hashem Alikecha. The Hashem your God blesses you with. Yachal Nisparach Bayis Beglalam Anikanai. Maybe you should only give severance pay if the slave increased the value of your property, of your household. Since he came, we've had blessing. Then he leaves, give him severance pay. But let's say let's say you didn't have a blessing because of him. He comes in there to work and everything starts going bad. And this happens and that happens, and there's a loss here, there's a loss there. You think it's bad luck because you hired this guy. Well, maybe you don't have to give him a present then. Maybe you don't give him. You have to give him the severance pay anyway. Okay. So why do you say that Hashem your God blessed you? It means that you increase the severance pay based on, there's a minimal amount, but based on the blessing that he brought to the house, you should increase it. He shows up, like it says by Yosef. The whole house was blessed when he was there, everything goes good. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says exactly as it's written. If when the slave shows up, the house is blessed, then you give him gifts when he leaves, severance pay. If the house is not blessed because of him, then you don't give them severance pay. So why do you say they have to give tanik, which means you shall surely give him those gifts? You can't learn a halacha out of that. The Torah speaks in the language of man. That's an expression. You shall surely give. Okay.
You shall surely
Give the gift. Yeah, it's the seventh pay. Tanarabanan. So in the Brisa, Eved Ivri, Eved Asaben, Eved Asabas. If the master dies, he has a Jewish slave. And the master has a son. Eved Ivri continues to work for the son. Not if his ear was pierced, not if the Jewish maidservant. But a regular Eved Ivri that works until 6 years continues to work for the son. But if the master only has a daughter, he doesn't work for the daughter. That's it. It's all over. Amma Evriya, but let's say it's a Jewish maidservant girl. Ina Ivedes She doesn't even serve the son. She just goes free. That's it. Master dies. She's not in the household anymore. And what about the man that his ear was pierced? And him cares like someone that was sold to a non-Jew. He doesn't also. He doesn't serve the son or the daughter, just like the Amar Evriya. Amar Ma, we go back to analyze this price. He serves the son, but he doesn't serve the daughter. Where do we know this from? And he will serve you for 6 years. L'cha serves you, but not to those other relatives that inherit, which could mean the brother. There's no sons, or the daughter. He doesn't serve them. He only serves the master or the son, but not to the other relatives. You tell me that he doesn't serve those other relatives. Maybe he doesn't serve the son either. And it says 6 years he shall serve, and it doesn't say 6 years he shall serve you. Could have said 6 years he should serve you. It doesn't say that. 6 years he shall serve comes to tell me that it's not only you. Could be the son. Okay. So what does it mean when it says that he shall serve you for 6 years, which means only you? No, it says that's that's you, but not the other relatives. What did you see that it's so logical that if the slave master dies, that the slave will continue to serve the son, but he won't be able to serve the brother? I have one verse that says that he continues to serve afterwards. I have another verse that says that he doesn't. So I said the one that he does is telling me the son. The one that he doesn't is the brother. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe the one that he does is the brother. The one that he doesn't is the son. How do you know which way it goes? Marisa, the rabbi, Marisa, the rabbi has been like Tzitzah. My answer is there's two connections, two comparisons that a son has to the father over the father's brother. Now, what is that? First of all, if the father doesn't want to marry the slave girl, the son can do it. They're very connected. Another point is that if the father had a field and he sells the field, he didn't sell the field. He's makdish the field. The rule is that he could redeem it. But if he doesn't redeem it, and the head of the treasury in the Beis Hamikdash sells it to someone else, it gets lost from that family. That family does not get that full inheritance. It gets lost from that family. So now the Gemara says, but let's say that someone else that buys the field from the head of Hektish is not a stranger. It's actually the master. It's actually the person that was makdish it. His son buys it. Considered as if he redeemed it himself. See, the special connection between the son and the father, which means that connection is now going to tell me that if the slave master dies, the slave still continues to serve the son because of those two connections. What are the two connections? That the son can marry the Amar Evriya, the Jewish maid, and also that if the field gets redeemed, gets bought from Hektish, if the son buys it, it's as if the master himself bought it.
I'm a little confused because twice it says 6 years he shall serve. One says 6 years he shall serve, and the other says 6 years he shall serve you. So
yeah.
Which one?
So one of them teaches me that he can serve the son as well. He shall serve you teaches me that he does not serve the brother.
So, but that's a conflict.
So to resolve the conflict, 6 years he shall serve means that he serves you. 6 years shall serve means that he serves you or the son, the person or his master or his son.
No, it's one or the other. Or both?
The second verse, 6 years he shall serve you, tells me that specifically you, it's not you, that person, but not the brother. So one verse is inclusive and one is exclusive. The verse that's inclusive includes the son. The verse that's exclusive excludes the brother.
So that's teaching you it's both.
It's teaching the exclusion excludes the brother, and the inclusion includes the son. Gemara says, how do you know the inclusion is including the son? Maybe the inclusion is including the brother. Gemara says that we have more comparable. It's more comparable the son to the father than the brother to the father. Why?
Isn't this an example of kalu prat where you have like general statement, and then you have a specific statement. You just take the specific statement and apply it to the general.
A little different. This is just a diak. It's just a diak. So, but how do you know this one is the main one? It says because it's more comparable. Because the son has two halachas, which is exactly like the father, but the brother doesn't. What are the two halachas that make the son like the father? He can marry the Jewish slave girl, and also if he buys back a field from Hektish, so it's as if the father purchased it. Gemara says, now, Hadarabba, on the contrary, there's a special connection between the brother and the father. Why? Because if the father dies, it's the brother that does the yibam, not the son. See, there's a special connection, the brother and the father. So therefore, the Jewish slave should serve the brother as well. The special connection there.
Property gets transferred to prodigy. Sons. That.
Well, a slave would also go to the inheritors.
Yeah, inheritors.
So if there's a son, then it'll go to the son. But if there's no son, it would go to the brother. But we're saying that even when things go to the brother, the slave doesn't.
There's no yibum though with the
Oh, 1 second. The Gemara is going to bring that up. We're not talking about the Amavri. We're talking about a Jewish slave. We said that we said about Amavri as well. We said a Jewish slave serves the son, but not the daughter. Amavri doesn't serve anyone. Okay, now. Yeah.
Has to go with the brother because there's no kid.
Right, exactly. Gemara is going to bring that up in a second. But meanwhile, we say that the brother has a special connection to the father because he does the yibam.
That sounds silly. You just said the father has a son, and now you're saying yibum with the brother. Wait a minute. But there is no yibum if he has a son.
Okay. Gemara says, "Klum yesh yibam ela b'makom she'ein ben." Is there yibam when there's a son? There's only yibam without a son. Yesh ben, if there's a son in yibam, there's no yibam. So, what do you mean to say that that there's a special connection between the father and the brother? That special connection is only when there is no son. If there's a son, then that connection is gone. So why are you asking that? 1 second. The father and the brother are more connected than the son. If there's a son, that connection is gone. What are you telling me? The reason why you were willing to say that the son is the one that's going to inherit the slave, but the brother not, the whole reason why you would say that is only because he had a kasha on yibam and he gave this teretz that there's only yibam if there's no son. That's the whole logic over there. You were actually ready to say that the brother would inherit the slave and not the son. Typically, why don't you just say it's obvious? Over here, we have two connections between the father and the son. If when it comes to marrying the Jewish slave girl, father or son can do it. When it comes to buying back property from Hektish, father or son can do it. Over there, it's only one. It's in the laws of Yibam, the brother is more connected. And everything else, but we have two connections, so that's two, and this is one. Why would you have even thought that the brother should take precedence? The brother should be the one that we should say he's the brother is the one that acquires the slave. We say the whole reason why Steachuza is part of this. It's not really 2 in 1. It's really just one. It's really the yid. That's the main one. And from the yid, I get out also that it's as if the son redeemed the field, and not if the brother redeems it. Yid means when the Jewish maid gets married by the master or by the master's son. That's called yid designation. The Litana Klim Yeshiva Mela B'Makam Shein Ben. that we learned out from this itself. Okay, so basically, we actually could have thought that if not for that answer of is there only Yibam when there's a son, I could have thought that maybe the brother would have taken precedence. Okay. Amavriya. Let's stop with that. Stop with that.
So where did we stop?
Amavriya.
No, but where were we?
We're on 17b. Towards the bottom.
Towards the bottom.
2/3 down. Let's leave it over here.
Guys, my bed is calling me.
Okay,
Sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, your bed, I said 5.
okay. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you again.